Hey everyone, my name is Kevin, and today I have a tutorial for you to achieve the same text effect that you see on screen. I had made this piece back in 2018 during a Twitch live stream, and I haven't really made a lot of creative content since, and so I've been wanting to dive into those projects more in an effort to become a better creative. So this piece was made primarily in Adobe Illustrator and Photoshop, and it uses a popular technique called the blend tool. It's really cool. You can achieve some cool art with it. So I hope you guys like it and enjoy. Alright, so to get started, here I have a blank canvas, and I also made this just a 4x6 300 dpi document. I also have a few colors here that I pulled from our original example. And so I have just a red, a light green, a blue, and then a dark blue and a purple. And these are all the colors that we're going to be using in this piece. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new layer down here in the layers panel. I'm going to click on my type tool, and then we're going to type the word freedom in all caps. So the font that I'm actually going to be using for this example is Montserrat, and it's going to be regular weight. You can actually get this font off Google Fonts. It's a great resource for any kind of free and open source fonts for any kind of design or graphic needs. So here we have freedom, and so I'm going to go up to here, object expand, so that each letter is on its own layer. And then I'm going to select this, go to object, and then I'm going to go to ungroup so that they're all separate from each other. Then after that, I'm going to click on that layer down in the layers panel, click this more button. And I know that you can't really see it because of my graphic, but once you click that, there's an option that says release to layers sequence. Press that, and it'll make every single letter on its own layer. So as you can see here. So I'm going to select all those layers and actually move it on top of the second layer that we made, and then I'm going to trash that. And so here, yeah, so I'm actually going to select these letters. I'm going to make it like a different color right now because there's actually one step that I forgot to do, and it's because I want to round out the corners. So I have all of them selected. I press A to bring out these rounding lift handles, and then we're going to kind of just pull it in so that I round out those edges so that they're not as sharp. Great, so that's the effect that we're looking for. The last thing we need to do is we want to make sure that we check that F is at the bottom, because if you look in our piece, I want the subsequent letters after F to be on top of it. So we just need to make sure that F is at the bottom, and you'll see what I mean shortly. So the next thing that we're going to do is we need to get into that isometric orientation. So let's select all these objects, and then we're going to go to Effect, Extrude Bevel, and then we're going to go to this option that says Isometric Top. So click that. Make sure that Extrude Depth is at 0 because we don't want any kind of extrusion. We're not trying to make anything 3D from here. We just want the orientation of the letter to be isometric. So we click OK. And so here we have all of our letters in that correct orientation, but they actually kind of look, they're not in the right way. So what we're going to do is select each one, and then we're going to rotate it by 90 degrees. And we're going to do that for every single letter. To make this easier, hold down Shift so that I can actually rotate accordingly in increments of 45, which is super helpful. So I'm doing that for the O. Oh, wait, sorry. So the O, and then the M. Oh, whoops. Resizing. Great. So now we have freedom. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to expand this again. So let's select all of them. We're going to go to Object, Expand Appearance. And this is because we don't want it under the bevel and extrude option. We just want it to be as it is, the path. So here I'm now going to just arrange these letters kind of in a nice arrangement like we have in the reference image. Freedom, like this. And then also I kind of want it to be bigger. So I'm going to select all of them and then hold down Shift and then pull the bottom right angle just to make sure that it resizes correctly. Now the important thing to note is that it's not going to look exactly like it, just because I don't actually remember the kind of options that is selected for that original piece, but I do, but that's fine. It's going to be something resemblant or completely new. All right, so, but using the same technique. All right, so here we have kind of the letters, or the letters arranged in the way that that works. So now I'm going to go back into our layers panel, and I'm going to hide letters R through M, and I'm going to introduce you guys to the tool, the blend tool. So again, this tool is actually a pretty popular tool that's used. What it does is if you create two objects, so I'm just going to duplicate this F, so the F on the bottom and the F on the top, and actually for now let's select different colors so that we can actually easily see what's going on. So what this blend tool does is it actually blends two objects together. So here, if I go to object and I go to blend and then blend options, you'll see three different options for spacing. There's smooth color, steps, and distance. For this tutorial, we're going to use specified steps. And so we're going to just try this out with 8 steps. We're going to select both of these objects and we're actually going to blend them. So if you want to blend, it is Alt-Command-B. And so you get a nice cool blend. So this is kind of a really cool effect. You can see that it has exactly eight shapes in between the red shape and the yellow shape, and that's what is causing the blend. So if we actually increase the amount of steps, so like let's say we want this to be 50, you can clearly see that, you know, more of that blend there. The finicky thing about this is that you need to make sure that if you want to blend this in the correct direction, you need to make sure that the top layer that you want to blend over the second object is the layer that you want to blend over the second object is on the top. So for example here, the yellow object is actually on top of the red, which is why it blends upward. I actually want the red on top of the yellow to mimic the same effect that we have in Freedom. So I'm going to double click this to select just the F, the red F, and I'm going to go to Object, Arrange, Bring to Front, which is Shift Command bracket, the right bracket, like this. So now we've changed our orientation. You have our red F on top, and now it blends downward. Great. So now I'm going to select this, and I'm going to release the blend, meaning, you know, there's not going to be any blend. I don't want, we're actually going to use custom colors and not just custom gradients, not solid colors. So I'm going to delete this vector line over here. Illustrator does that when you actually just create a blend, because you can actually, the cool thing about this is if you select your blend, you can actually go, and I just undid right now, you can go to your pen tool at a point, and then using the direct selection tool, you can actually adjust it, which is kind of cool. You can even add like filters to this. So like, let's say I wanted to do, I don't know, some sort of a roughen. I could do that, and then it would like even kind of like do some crazy stuff with this, which is kind of a cool thing. It looks like pretty insane art. So there's so many possibilities you can do that make this blend tool really powerful. Anyway, so we're going to release the blend here, and then I'm going to actually create custom gradients for this. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make that top gradient. So I've arranged the colors in a way that these three colors are actually the top gradient for the top shape, and then these two colors are actually the bottom gradient for the bottom shape. So I'm going to click this red F, and I'm actually going to bring these letters a little bit closer here. So this red F here, and we're going to generate a gradient from these three colors. So I'm going to click this black and white gradient, click this white one, click this white slider in the gradient options, hit I, hold shift, and it actually changes the color of just this slider. And I'm going to repeat the same option for this middle one, and then we're going to add a third option just by clicking anywhere in the gradient tool, and then we hit the blue one. Great. So now we're going to do it for this bottom F. I'm just using the same technique here. Great. So now we have our red to blue gradient on the top, and then we have excuse me, now we have our blue to purple gradient on the bottom. So what we're going to do is I'm actually going to go to blend options. Now this is where it can get a little bit tricky. If your computer doesn't process things really quickly, you may not want to like crank up all those steps, but the more steps you have, the smoother the transition is going to be. So for this example, we're actually going to use 200 steps in between these two letters. So I'm going to select both of these. Again, make sure that the top layer is on the top, so arrange, and I think, oh sorry, I don't know what I did. So I think this layer is actually on the top, but just to make sure, I want to bring this to the front. Great, so now, oh, it changed the color on accident, sorry. Great, so I'm just gonna, for some reason it changed this to light blue, it's actually supposed to be purple. So I'm gonna select both of these, and then we're actually gonna blend these. So object blend make, and that shortcut is again Alt Command B. And so now we get our first kind of 3D gradient effect. And so I'm actually going to release this because if you notice in the example, we have a white F on top of this layer. So let me release that. And actually, while we're at it, I'm going to create a dark background so that this could live underneath. And I'm going to rename this to background. And how I do that is just I'm going to take the rectangular tool here and then just draw a rectangular shape that's black underneath everything, and then lock it in so that we don't have it moving. Great, so I'm going to select these two again, or actually, sorry, take the top layer. I'm going to duplicate it by shifting a copy up, and then I'm going to change this one to white. And then I'm going to take these two layers and I'm going to blend them so we have that cool blend. And then how you'll see it in the graphic is that you have the white F sitting on top of that. But how to get that marble effect? So we do have that blend from the two different gradients. How you generate the marble effect is select one of the top ones, and in the gradient options, if you just select this by itself, you can actually change the angle of that gradient, which kind of gives really cool, interesting results. So you can try like, you know, -60 angle. And what this actually means is that like if you have ever played with a gradient tool before, you know, you can adjust it at any angle that you want. This is really just changing that angle, and it affects the whole blend all the way from the top to the bottom, which is cool. So what I'm going to do is actually just going to leave it at maybe like a -30, because I know that that first one is pretty, I don't think I even moved it. I think I left it at 0. But it's fine. Anyways, so I'm going to move this back into position. I kind of forgot where I laid it. But we're just going to roughly do this for all of the other objects subsequently. So I did the F here. And let me rename these. I think that would be very helpful. So we're going to do F, R, E, E, D, O, and then M. Great. So now that we have that, actually, I'm going to duplicate this blend so that I could just copy and then release it, so that I could just copy the gradient colors because we've already set them. So I'm going to go to the second layer. Let me hide, which is R, and then I'm going to, you know, bring this one down. I'm going to select, using the eyedropper tool, to copy that gradient from that F. Using the eyedropper tool, copy the gradient from the bottom F, and then we're going to, first let me duplicate that R, and then we're going to blend these two together. Again, you want to make sure that this top layer is going to be the one on top of the blend. So I just rearranged it by bringing the top R up, and so therefore the blend goes down. I'm going to change this color to white and repeat that process for the rest of the letters. Also, the white one needs to be on the very top, so just bring that to front. Great. So same thing here. I'm gonna bring down the E, copy there, and then this white, blend again, making sure that's on the top. Boom, down. And then because the E's are the same, like I'm just gonna copy the same E for this one right here. Great, so now we have FREE. And then I'm going to do D. So I'm actually just going to bring that one up. We're going to make this white. Same thing here. And you know, it's pretty good practice if you are interested in, you know, doing a lot of techniques with, or a lot of art with these techniques. It's fun. There, bring this down. Great, so now we have our D. And then bring that to the top, and then O, 2 more letters to go, which is great. And then I'm going to do that one there, that one here, and then we're just going to blend it. Again, this one being on top. Great. This one having to be on top as well. So this white layer wants, you know, you want to make sure that that white layer is going to be the very top of every single blend that you do. So this is going to be on top. This is going to be on the very top because this is going to be the white layer. And then copy using the eyedropper tool. What's happening? Sorry. Using the eyedropper tool, copy that top layer. Same thing for the bottom. Copy that as well. And then blend. Great. Awesome. So I'm actually going to delete these two because we don't need these anymore, but I'm going to bring all of these back. So here we have freedom. So this is kind of awesome. We kind of have, you know, the majority of this piece almost done. But what I want to do is I actually just want to fix the placement of these objects now. So here I'm going to go in layer by layer and kind of just like fidget them in a way that, you know, kind of looks cool. A lot of people told me that this looks like for redom, I don't know. It's all abstract, okay? You can read it however you want. It's fine. I don't care. So actually, you could use any word you want to. But all right. Use it however you want. Great. I particularly like using like these really hot colors with warm colors, so hence like the red with the blue. I think it's kind of interesting. Great. So what we're gonna do is I'm actually going to select this white R. We're gonna go to select same fill color, and I'm going to select all of the white letters here, and I'm going to lock them using Alt 2, or just going over here, lock selection. And so the reason why is because you know, although we've already finished all the gradients, I still want to get that marble effect for the top layers. So using the direct selection tool, I'm only selecting the top layer of each blend, and I'm just going to select, you know, the kind of cool degrees that work. So that's again, it's like shifting the gradient on the top, so I did that. I'm going to do that for the E on the bottom. So here I'm going to select kind of a, I don't know, a different one. A 60. That's cool. Great. So then I'm also going to do this one here at the bottom. And again, because we locked, you know, all those layers, we don't actually touch them, which is nice. Or those red layers. Great. Cool. And then it's too much red over there, but kind of 135, 150, 180. No, maybe just like 45, 60. Yeah, whatever. Cool. Sounds good. And then 120, 150, 30, 60. that's cool. And then for this blue one, or for the M, and now I'm just gonna try something different by even like rotating the bottom to see if that yields any kind of cool results that we might like. And it could, kinda. I mean, that's kind of cool though, but I don't know, that's not, I don't want it too complex to where it looks very different from the rest of the piece, you know? And now, okay, so now what I'm doing is I'm actually just not even using that gradient slider. I am now manually choosing what I want the colors, like how I want it to be distributed by using the gradient tool. So I just pressed G, and yeah, you can do it too, just like this as well. This is a little bit redder than the previous piece that I did, which is fine. It's okay. This is fine. It's all fine. I don't know. That's okay. That's good. I might even add, I don't know. I think I might just manipulate this. Maybe I'm just... No. Okay. This is fine. Alright, so we're just going to stick with this. So now I'm going to save this. I'm going to export this into a PSD so that we could finish it off over there. So here we are in Photoshop. So what I did was I just exported this file from Illustrator, did export as to PSD. So it just takes pretty much my file, and it even has the extra artboard margin over here, which is where I had my colors. So I'm actually going to trim that out because we don't need that. And now I'm going to start with trying to make the 3D effect look like it's fading from the top to the bottom. So I'm going to start with the M layer here, and it's this one right here. So I'm going to go to layer, I'm going to add a mask, and then I'm going to make this kind of just look like it's being faded out, kind of like that. There we go. And I'm just going to, roughly go over it like with my mouse. Kind of like that. There we go. And then I'm going to go to the O layer over here. I'm also going to do the same thing. So I'm going to add a mask and make it look like it's faded. I'm going to go to the E layer over here. I should have taken that O down a little bit lower, but you know what? It's fine. I'm okay with it. It's all good. And then same thing with the D layer. I'm going to go to the 3D portion, put on a mask. And then it's really nice to work with masks because, if you mess up, then, you could always take it back or something. And then paint it over with white. Same thing here. Yeah, there we go. And then the last thing I'm going to do is with the R. Add a mask and then kind of add that in there. Great. So the thing that's kind of bothering me is like this portion. The D, but it's fine. I think we're all good. I should have made it a little bit longer, but it's all good. Yeah, it works. It works. All right. So I'm gonna save that. Now the other things that I would do is I would just to give it a little bit more detail. I'm going to close all of these right here, and then I'm actually going to add shadows. So onto starting from the F. So I'm going to create a new layer and have it be go to act as a shadow for the R and the E. So I'm going to take, kind of just this brush right here. Yeah. So it looks like, it's kind of going up. And I like to change the blending mode to like overlay. I think that's fine. Generally I duplicate it and then I'll do overlay, but then like take down the opacity so it doesn't look as harsh. And then I'm going to do the same thing with the R. So to act kind of like a shadow for the E. Great, I'm just going to do that for the rest of the letters. So now we have our shadows. So what I'm going to do next is I'm actually going to just draw in some light details here. So I'm going to take my lasso, or like my polygonal lasso tool, and then I'm going to just draw some cool shapes on the 3D of the F. That's how we're going to start. And then I'm actually going to draw another one here, holding down shift so that, you know, we can make sure that we extend it in the correct axes. And then we have 2. Then I'm going to take a soft yellow color because that seems to overlay pretty nicely on these cool colors. So here I just use a soft brush and we kind of have, you know, some light trails on it. I'm going to set it to overlay, and it kind of gives a lot more interesting varied color. So I'm now going to do that for the R as well. Okay, so now we added some light layers on each one. Now we're going to try something different. I want to see if maybe like adding a blur would kind of look cool as opposed to like these really jagged lines. Yeah, I mean, yeah, let's add a blur. I don't know, something. Just gonna add a blur in all of these. Huh, that's weird. Blur. Cool. All right. So now, yeah, it looks a little interesting. All right. So the other thing that I would do is let me see if I take. I'm gonna take down the opacity of some of these. Kind of like that, and then cool. Now the other thing I would do is I'm gonna add a noise layer. So I'm gonna go add another color layer. I'm gonna go to noise, add noise. I'll just rasterize that, and then I'm gonna up that noise, make it uniform, and then kind of like up it to like 54, and then set this to like a hard, like a color dodge. I think color dodge would be really nice. It just gives it like some texture, you know. It's kind of nice, and it like lifts the color, which is kind of cool. All right, now we're gonna add some adjustment layers. Maybe up that saturation. It's too much, like it's a little blinding. Up the saturation just a little bit, and then kind of want the reds to come out just a little bit more. Just kind of like that, and then I kind of want the greens to glow, just like that. Probably didn't really do very much. There we go. This is the piece. Alright guys, so here is the result. So this is on the left is the original, on the right is kind of what we just created in the tutorial. So as I'm looking at the original, there's actually some detail that I had forgot that I put in, which was like some shadows within the letters, so it kind of looks like it's a little bit deeper. And that's something that you could definitely do here just to make it give more of that illusion. So I hope you guys enjoyed doing this tutorial with me. And hopefully learn something new to be able to implement in your own designs. But thank you so much, and I'll see you guys next time.